Okay, if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my screen, go ahead and type something in the chat window. And welcome to everybody. I see a bunch of people jumping on right now. Thanks, Natasha. Good to see you again, virtually. Someday we'll meet in person. Okay, Steve, somewhere between intermediate and advanced. Steve, you're advanced. Come on now. I know you. So let me just kind of jump in and let you know, why landing pages all of a sudden. And it's really important as LinkedIn's rolling out all these changes. We want to be able to engage people. And not just on LinkedIn. 1 second, I'm going to raise my desk and stand up. It's nice to be able to stand up and sit down with the desk. But as LinkedIn's rolling out so many changes, and over the past few years, marketers have gotten too aggressive on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's really, really cracking down on the messaging. So we can't send as many messages as we used to, which is, personally, I think is a good thing. I was getting so many spam messages every day. Just the engagement level was horrible. It was just promotion, promotion, promotion. So LinkedIn's really, really working hard to get that under control. But sometimes they go too far and they don't let us message enough. So what I try to do is get people off LinkedIn and onto my own email list. And then I own that contact. So imagine someday down the road, maybe LinkedIn won't be here. So what if you built your business on LinkedIn and LinkedIn changes? When Microsoft takes it over, who knows what they'll do? They could turn it into a social network. They could become like Snapchat. I know that's what Blab is doing. They're making Blab into Snapchat, a clone of that. So you never know what's going to happen. So you really have to focus on building your own email list and getting people on that email list. And the way I do that is through my welcome messages one way. So if you look at my messages here, so I have some standard messages I send out and customize them now and then. But for the most part, I've tested this message many times, and I'm actually writing a new version of this right now. I'll be probably launching this week. But what I try to do is I just welcome people to connecting, offer to, introduce them to my network. And then I ask, tell me something interesting about you and your business. Try to start some engagement. And then if you want to learn more about my business, I create this special page for them called LinkedIn Friends. So this is a form of a landing page because it's talking about, welcome LinkedIn connections. It tells a story. How can I help you? So I can schedule a call. They can schedule a 30-minute call with me. And also they can get more free training here. Over here in the sidebar, well, that's another way right here of the pop-up. As people try to navigate away from my screen, it pops up with this. If I click on that, it takes them to a landing page. So there's lots of different landing pages, lots of different forms, and I'm going to show you some examples today, and we'll actually build one for you if you're interested. So let's get back off this. So here, basically, I'm giving them good content over in this left-hand section. And then here, I'm going to test a different form, too. Sometimes people like to see the form, and other times they want to see the button. So you just have to test and see what works best. But I get a lot of people that sign up for this strategy guide just by putting the name and email here. And here they can do the LinkedIn course again. So I'm giving them 2 ways to opt in. So this is really what I try to do, is get people here from LinkedIn and get on my list. Does that make sense to everybody? And I know, Steve, you do similar things like this, but if anyone's doing similar things, go ahead and type it in the chat, and we can actually review your landing pages too if you want. So let me show you some examples. Here's one. When I sent out the invitation for this call, I asked if you want me to review your landing pages. So here's one Tom sent. This is Tom Speaks Out, the mental health speaker. So basically, this is just his homepage. It's not really a landing page because there's no way to opt in right up here. what you want to do is get people's attention. Remember, looking at this page, most traffic is mobile on the internet now these days. So think about if you look at this on a mobile phone, what it's going to look like. So he's got way too many navigation items here. This is going to just dominate the mobile. So what we need to do really is think really clean and simple, because everybody's looking at it on a tiny little screen now. And most WordPress templates are mobile friendly now. They're mobile responsive. So you don't have to worry as much. Let's see, he has no way to fill out a form here or ways to get on his email list or to send him a message. So really, we want to go back to like the LinkedIn friends. You want to have some way to engage them and get their contact information. There's lots of different ways to do it. Does anyone want to build a landing page from scratch? Let me show you some examples. And if you want to, just go ahead and type in the chat window, and we'll start building one for you based on something you're going to be giving away in exchange for that name and email. Some people prefer to just go for the email. Some want to get the name and email. There's lots of different ways to do this. There's no right or wrong way. I know from people that do extensive email marketing, if you just ask for the email address, more people will put that in. They don't want to give up their name for some reason, even though a lot of people put fake names in. So there's lots of different ways to do this. So I'll just show you the best things I've seen work over the years. One of the tools I use is ClickFunnels. And we'll go through some funnels. I'll create a new funnel here from scratch. So I like ClickFunnels because it's literally drag and drop. I used to create these with HTML back before WordPress. And there's a lot more work. So I have lots of different sales funnels set up, landing pages. So let me create a brand new funnel. I'll show you the different examples. So there's really the three purposes. Do you want to collect emails? And that's really what you will probably want to do first. If you want to get people from LinkedIn onto your email list, collect their emails by giving them, it doesn't have to be a free report. Free reports are so overused right now. People don't opt in as often, at least in my experience. People like strategy guides, checklists right now. They like to watch free content, like let them watch a video of you teaching something. And then at the end of the video, you can say, if you want more videos, you can have a pop-up come up, or you can have a form pop up below. That's a good way to do it. Now engage them, give them some good content before you ask for their email address. Where in the past was, you send them to this landing page and you make them give the email before you give them the content. And that, people just burn out on that too. So like I said, there's so many ways to do this. You just really have to test and see what works for your audience and keep monitoring it. That's what I like about ClickFunnels. It tells you, how well things are converting. Actually, before I do that, before I start a new one, let me show you for my LinkedIn chapter. So here's LinkedIn. They can download the chapter, and then I offer my book. So here I just updated this the other day. So I've had 205 visitors and 1 contact, so that's not good. I made some changes to the landing page, and I'm trying some different traffic. I'm testing a different traffic source, and so it looks like this traffic source is not converting as well as my old traffic sources. But basically what we have is 2 versions. I have 2 different headlines here. Let me make this bigger. So basically it rotates through. Well, it looks like it's only showing this page. So I need to look at ClickFunnels and see why it's not rotating. But basically, 7 LinkedIn secrets I use to get more clients. And you test different copy here. And what helps is to put a picture of what you're giving them. I'm giving them tips from my book. You can also have, I've seen screenshots of the cover of your ebook if you're giving an ebook or strategy guide. If it's a video, you can put a video over here. So they're really like placeholders. But this format really seems to work well. It's clean and simple. You don't give them enough information that they're going to want to fill out this form. And then the other test here. So you test different headlines here. So it's basically the same format and same content. I just tested different headlines, but for some reason ClickFunnels isn't showing them split testing them. It's only showing one visitor here, so I got to look into that. But this is really what you want to do, is create different formats and test them and see what works. But with your testing, only test one variable. Don't have 3 different things, so you wouldn't know what is working. So you can create 3 variations with 3 different headlines, or you can create 2 variations with the same headline and put a different image. You really have to just test all aspects of the landing page over time and see what's getting the most opt-ins. So let's go ahead and just build a new one from scratch. Okay, Steve has his LinkedIn friends page, so let's look at that before I jump into building a landing page here. So here's what Steve does to get people from LinkedIn onto his email list. And Steve, you may want to be careful with your navigation with the mobile. I'm not sure how it looks on a mobile device, but that could be a problem. It depends what theme you're using. So I like to use this too. This is your LinkedIn profile. So they were just on LinkedIn. They just saw this. So it keeps them familiar. Like, okay, great. This is Steve. I just met him on LinkedIn. And we just have a little conversation, get to know people. It's good to have a testimonial over here. This is good. And then here's your schedule now. And Steve, I'd like to, actually, can I unmute you, Steve? We can just chat. That would be helpful. Let me unmute you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome.
Sweet. How about that?
Technology. So let's explain your thought process behind the page here.
Well, it's kind of that thing of, so when you meet somebody on LinkedIn trying to be, I'm going to say not pushy or salesy, this is a place they have to go, so they've chosen to come here to find out more about you, beyond what LinkedIn says. And it gives, in my case, I use it to give me, or to give them an opportunity to find out more about some different things that I do. And kind of choose from that what path they'd like to follow. I think it needs to be updated, but
yeah. So your ultimate goal is to get people on the phone, right? A sales consultation, basically.
Yeah. So I'd like to get them to schedule a time to talk to me. And my whole concept is probably a lot like yours. I want people coming towards me. I don't want to be going towards them. So this really gives me that opportunity. It's like, oh, they've chosen to come here. They've chosen to read through that. And if they choose to take action, they're still coming to me, including scheduling an appointment to talk to me.
Right. So do you have a opt-in other than the contact?
I think if they click that, they're going to get something. It takes them to a page. I guess it's really just the only opt-in I have on there right now is, and I think in the first section they can download a PDF, which is actually part of the writing. Well, there's one.
Let's see.
Um,
Okay, here. There's your webinar. Okay.
so they can sign up for that.
So this is an automated webinar.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. So I found those pop-ups work really well. It's surprising if people usually hate them, but if you don't have them, you don't get as many opt-ins.
Yeah, I hit them too, but they work.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna do?
So, okay, here's your diagram.
Yep. So they can download that.
Have you tested just email versus first name and email?
I have not. At least not on this.
Yeah. I find that people that are willing to get their first name and their email are usually more serious. People that just put their email and maybe a fake name, they're not serious.
Right.
At least my experience, I have very few people that put in fake names that become clients or good clients.
I mean, these are people, you got to keep in mind, these are people here who've already connected with you on LinkedIn. So
Right.
if they won't
Exactly.
give you their name, they're like, oh, wow.
Right. Because if they've taken the time to click over here, they're interested in something you said in your welcome message. So yeah, that's the thing with LinkedIn. It's more serious. It's business to business people. They're more serious about business. It's not like the biz op space, business opportunity space on the internet.
Yeah.
Those people, those people are buying hope from all these courses most of the time. They're not
Yeah.
buying business.
I wouldn't send somebody, like if I was running a Facebook ad, for example, I wouldn't send them to a page like this.
Right. So you have to know your audience and what you're offering, and then determine what traffic works best for that. And measure and test. Okay. So then do you keep track of how many people actually contact you from this page?
I don't.
Yeah, I need to get better at that. How many people actually fill out the form from this page? So what I'm actually doing is I'm going to create a new form here and a new campaign with tracking codes. So I'll know this is coming from this specific campaign.
Right.
And same with this. Because you really have to measure and see where your traffic is coming from that's working. Because if it is working, then you want to get more traffic there, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways to do that is probably beyond the scope of what you want to cover today, but if you set up Google Analytics on it, just the free Google Analytics, you can follow the path of people. So you can tell where they came from, what landing page they went to, and what they did from there.
Right. Yeah, you should always have Google Analytics installed. And actually, ClickFunnels, you can just add that right in there, the little script, very easily. All the landing page softwares, whatever you're using, lets you do that now. And if you get a little too advanced, but I'm using Google Tag Manager now, so I can set up multiple codes within that one tag. I'll show you that on mine after I build the funnel here, but yeah, we don't want to get too advanced here because this is just like basic landing pages, and your goal is to get them from LinkedIn or from Facebook onto your email list, because then you can send them messages and follow up with them. And then when they're on your email list, you can go through and you can say, okay, here, these 500 people opened this email this morning, so I know they're interested in this topic. And if people didn't open it, you know they may not be interested in that. So it's a good way for you to test and see what your audience is interested in. So let me start one. I'll go ahead and mute you, Steve. If you have questions or anything, just raise your hand.
Okay.
Thanks. And if anyone on the call has a landing page they want me to review, go ahead and type it in the chat window. But I'll just start, show you how easy it is to do this. So we'll just call this Saturday. And I won't put in, I have different groups in my thing, but I'll just keep that out. It's a test. So what I like about this and all these softwares now, there's lots of these out here. Lead Pages does this. Why I like ClickFunnels more than Lead Pages is I stopped using Lead Pages about a year ago because it was just templates. I couldn't customize the templates as much. So with the ClickFunnels, I can actually literally drag and drop different things into a template. I can start with a template and then optimize it. So here's one. This one is if you have a video. So you can play a little video here. It's got your headline. And the headline really makes a difference. You really have to test the headlines. That's the most important thing. It's like a subject line of your emails, title of a book. It's most of the time that's the thing that makes them want this, whatever you're giving away. So here, this is basically full name, email. Got the little pop-up. And this seems to be converting better these days when you click a button instead of filling out the form right on the page. Where 5 years ago, people wanted to fill out the form here. There's different trends. So you really want to just keep up with the trends and what's working now. And most of these landing page templates, which is really good about when you subscribe to these kind of services, they keep up with that and they tell you, here are the highest converting landing pages. Like here, you can sort by highest converting, sales type, webinar, if you're doing an automated webinar, creating a membership site, and here's the pop-ups. But you can sort by top converting. So, gosh, I used this one about 5 years ago and it worked really well, and now they're saying it's still converting well. But you see the different template layouts. If they say this one is the top converting, I would start with this one and go from there. And you can get rid of this wood background. I thought it was kind of corny at first when I started doing it. I tested one version with the wood background and one with a different background, and the wood one converted like 10 times better. It was ridiculous. Just, you never know. So just test and monitor. So let's say I want to use this one. Let's go back. So I'm going to use this template. So if anyone on the call has something like a white paper or a ebook they're going to give away, let me know. We can just kind of customize this for you if you want. So think about what you're giving away. What are the three biggest benefits of what you're giving away? So here you can put different product images. You can make look like this looks like an ebook. There's software out there you can take my book cover and turn it into an ebook looking format, or on Fiverr you can have somebody create one literally for $5. But here we can go pick different images. They have stock images. Now you can do image searches. I see calendar there, so let's just find an icon. So that'll add that image, or if you have images you can upload them right to it. That's not the best image, but you get the idea. And you can change the height and the width. And then you can add a link to that image if you want. Sometimes this works up here, having this extra line up here. If you don't want that in here, what's really cool is you can just turn it off. You don't have to delete it if I turn it on. So you can create one version with that on, one version with it off. Let's just leave it off for now. Let's change the background. So here's where you can change your background. So let's say I want this one instead. So instead of the wood, you get the Volkswagen bus. See how easy this is? It's great. So then what you want to do is tie it into your email. So this little pop-up, you just leave it for open pop-up. Here's where you'd integrate it into your autoresponder. So I use Infusionsoft. So let's just say I want to put it in my 6-step ebook. So that will connect it to my Infusionsoft account with that specific campaign for the 6 steps ebook that I have. Let's save that. So now if people fill out this form, it'll send me, it'll put them in my email list for that 6 steps ebook, put them into that campaign. Does that make sense to everybody? So let's go back and let's say I'm using Aweber. I just set up a test account. I used to use Aweber. So let's do this. 6 steps ebook. Aweber is really easy to use. It's really affordable too. Where Infusionsoft now, it's hundreds of dollars per month. This is a couple $100 a year. So it's really good and it's very high quality. Autoresponder, they really get good delivery rates on their emails. So I'll just say LinkedIn tips. Because we noticed back here there wasn't, let's see, there wasn't an integration built in for Aweber. So I'm going to have to do this in HTML form. So basically go to media and so there may be a way to connect it. Actually, there is through the main settings, but I'll show you the HTML form because then you can use any autoresponder. So let's get back here. Don't want to conserve. Let's see. They make you double opt-in. I can turn that off, but we'll just go with this for now. Create your first sign-up form. Aweber is good at really giving you a video right there that shows you everything you need to do. And if you've never set up one of these, it's really easy. They have support. All of the different vendors have great support these days. So here basically we're going to do name and email. This is our basic form. So let's just go with a basic form. So you can customize it, different formats. But when you're doing this, pasting the HTML in there, you don't need this because it's not going to show up anyway. So let's go on to the next step. You can paste that code on your website and you'd have that little picture at the top, but you don't really need that. So let's just use this basic version. Okay, I'm going to activate my subscription. Okay, we're not sending it right away. Let's if it went to junk. Outlook really cracked down on their spam filters lately, and everything is going into the spam filter for me. Okay, it's not working. Sorry about that. But basically, I'll do it on the Infusionsoft, show you. You just grab this HTML code. So let's say social selling TV subscribers. You have a web form, the same thing in Aweber and Constant Contact and all of them. You just go over here and get the code, unstyled. You select all that. So we just paste that code right here. So now it'll take that code. It's taking it behind the scenes here. It's taking that code and tying it into this campaign for me. Does that make sense? It's about as technical as it gets right there. That's the good news. So let's get rid of some of these windows. So now we've got that integrated. So once they fill out this form, it'll send them to your thank you page. And then they have different templates you can use. Thanks for your report. What I like to do is, a lot of times people on the thank you page will have a link where they can download your free report or whatever you're giving away. I prefer not to, because if they put a fake email address in, then they're not going to get that. So they're going to put a real email address. And in that follow-up email, I'll send them a link to download the report. And a lot of people, I'm not sure what percentage anymore put in fake emails. But, if they don't want to put in a real email, I'm not going to give them my assets. So it's an easy way to kind of screen people out. So you just pick one of your templates. Let's say we'll use this one. And here you can, click to download now. Or, like I said, I don't let them do that here. I say, please check your email. And then they can click on the link in the email to get that. So that's really how to set up. That's how easy it is to set up a two-step funnel into ClickFunnels. Let me show me the one where I do my upsell for the book. So here, so if they fill out this, it takes them to the sales page instead of a thank you page. So here's two different variations of my thank you page. So here I say, thank you, your LinkedIn guide's waiting in your inbox. And then I offer my book for $4.95 plus free US shipping. So I only do this for the US because obviously shipping internationally is more like $20. But a good percentage of people will take this offer. So it's a good way to get my book into their hands. And if they say no, they don't want that, they can go on to the next page. So I have two different versions of that. Takes them to the order form where they fill out their credit card information. So here basically you're filling out the order. And if they do that, I give them another one-time offer. So here, this is if you want my linked accelerator course. If you want just the video replays, they can order that for $297. And some people do that too. So you give them lots of options as they're stepping through. And they say, if they say no, you don't need this now, it just takes them to they get their free report. If they order the book will be shipped to them within a week. And if they decide to take this offer, they can sign up right now and start watching the Linked Accelerator training. So that's basically then your order confirmation and thank you page. So you can keep adding more and more steps to this, but my goal is to get people off LinkedIn, get them on my email list, and then get my book in their hands, and then get them into my webinars just like this. So you got to think about what's your whole process of marketing. Once you connect with someone on LinkedIn, most of the time they're not going to be ready to become, they don't know you yet. So this is a good way for them to get to know, like, and trust you. And it starts with that LinkedIn Friends page. So get them from LinkedIn, or you can send people from Facebook. You can create a Facebook page like this. Get people over to your website. And then people will start clicking around. One of the theories years ago was don't let people see all this navigation. Just send them to a landing page that only has one option. Basically that, like one of these. Give them one option, and that's it. They couldn't navigate around and see your site. But we find over time, people want to see your whole website. They want to explore on their own. And that seems to really build the trust a lot faster. So I know another theory is to send them to that good content. Alex Mondosian does this. He won't send them, he's on Marketing Online, he'll send people to content on his website. So let's say from his blog, he'll send people to a video, and there's no opt-in. So here he's got an assessment right away. He's pre-qualifying people. I can't even get past that without doing the assessment. Okay, he'll do something like this. Send him to different videos. So you can watch this. It's good content, and if they're interested in taking the assessment, then they'll do this. But he doesn't force them to opt in first, because he usually, most of the time, they don't become the best customers. If you build that relationship with the free content and then get them to opt in when they're ready, they become higher end clients. Has anyone else had that experience? I've been doing that too, driving people to just a lot of content on my website, and just don't force the opt-in. And then we do all the advanced marketing like Facebook Pixels and Google Pixels, which is way beyond the scope of this call, but then you can follow them with ads and target them. You know what content people are interested in. So it usually takes, you hear 7 to 10 touches before people are ready to engage with you, really. So if you just keep getting content in front of them, get them on your email list, build a strong follow-up sequence, it goes a long way. Really shortens that. Oh, Steve says, yeah, you can use the ClickFunnels email too. So within ClickFunnels, they have their own email system. You actually have to set up something through Amazon. I had to set up, I think it was. Let me unmute Steve so he can share that. See what the latest. I haven't done it in a while. I set it up. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
So you had to set up the Amazon.
I actually use SendGrid.
Okay.
So I set it up with SendGrid. It was really easy to do. And then, so in effect, what happens is all of that stuff is really happening on ClickFunnels. It's creating your list for you, and then you can email those people right up off of ClickFunnels.
Right. Yeah, so within here you can set up your own.
It's just another way to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many ways to do it, which is good. Yeah, so you don't need to. Well, you could use their Actionetics is another, it's their email autoresponder basically in shopping cart.
Right. I think you have that with it in your. I think you have at least parts of it in the basic ClickFunnels account.
Yeah, they kind of tease you. Here we go. I can add more emails here. I can send text messages. There's all these different services. So lots of ways to engage people once you get them into your sales funnel. But you really want to start with the basics. Even just that two-step. Get their name, get their email, give them something of value, and then create a follow-up sequence. I'll show you some of mine in my Infusionsoft. So what I'd like to do is follow up with lots of emails after. So here's all the traffic coming in, and then Justin Brook taught me this. Basically, when you send him that thank you for downloading it, you set the tone. You say, okay, over the next 7 days, I'm going to be sending you these emails. And this works really well to engage people. So you give them the subject line of each email you're coming in. Essentially, I give them a couple paragraphs out of the ebook. Because I don't know about you, but I've got hundreds of ebooks on my hard drive that I've never opened. I thought, oh, this is great, I'll read it later. And we never get to it. So if you just set up there, okay, over the next week, I'm going to send you these emails, and here's what I'm going to teach you. And you're basically just giving them all the content from the ebook over 7 days. And then you talk about, what you do, how you can help them, and then follow up with them those 7 days. And then after that, some people have sequences that go out for years. Andy Jenkins and Mike Filsame showed me theirs once. It literally goes on for 3 years or something, where it takes them down one path, and you reach the end of that, it pushes you into another path depending on how you responded, and it's just on and on and on. But to get started, start really simple like this, just a couple emails, follow up, and then you can reach out to them periodically with information or your newsletter, however you want to do it. Most people don't want the newsletters anymore, if we call it a newsletter, because we're just so overwhelmed with information. So you just call it something else. You're basically giving them something. Robert Middleton, who I've been following since 2000 when I was getting certified as a coach, he helps coaches with their marketing. Every Tuesday, when you get up, you're going to have an email from Robert. And he's been doing that for really since like 1999, I think he started it. And before that, he had a successful offline marketing practice. So if you just, on a regular basis, people get in the habit of going, okay, I'm going to get my email on Tuesday morning from Robert. And it's there every week. And with the email autoresponders, you can set it all up in advance. Like I was in Lake Tahoe this week on vacation. I was still corresponding with people. I scheduled some messages to go out throughout the week. So I didn't have to log in every day and create them. They went out as I scheduled them. So it's just a really good way to get people into your world and nurture them. Is anyone on the call, do they have a funnel like this? I know Steve has a good one. Not sure if Natasha's doing that yet. I know she's been talking about it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to this? Or how they're doing it? What they think, what's the best approach what's working for them? So there's just lots of ways to do it. The key is to get a simple page, an opt-in form, a thank you page, follow-up emails, and then you build that relationship. I was hoping to have a volunteer that wanted to build the landing page on there, but nobody really volunteered. So now going back to Tom's here, what I would do with his is come up with a simple template. And you don't have to have an opt-in on the front, but if we go back to Alex's, let me find his. So what he's doing is he's pre-qualifying you like a mini survey right at the beginning. So he's segmenting his users here. Choose your path. Are you a serial entrepreneur? Do you own a physical business? So really that's a 2-question survey. Depending what you do, he takes you to different content. So now he's giving you this one version of this. Gives you some great content, a 15-minute video. Talks about the marketing assessment. And then once you take the marketing assessment, and he's really good at explaining the process, you just go through, take this little survey, and based on your answers, he's going to put you into different funnels in his autoresponder system based on your answers and give you content that he thinks is the most valuable for you. So he's pre-qualifying people. And then over time, he sends you through his email sequences, and he gets to a point where he'll hit you with another survey eventually, depending on how you respond. If you open emails, he scores it all within Infusionsoft. You can keep track. So if you reach a cumulative number of points, he knows this person is still interested in my content, so he'll offer another survey, and he calls it open office hours. So you're basically getting people further down his funnel, pre-qualifying them 2 or 3 times, and then by the time he actually does a discovery call or a free coaching session with them, he knows they are ready, almost ready to buy, or if not ready. So he closes a significant number of people that actually get on these discovery calls with him just by going through these processes. So this is very advanced at this point. We really just want you to start collecting the email addresses. So get people off LinkedIn through these kind of messages or through posts that you do. Like here I do a lot of updates. So here's an interview I did. And I have these all scheduled to go out and sendable. So see, I'm not requiring people to opt in. People can listen to the podcast. And this is an interview I did with Kathy Demers. So basically I do a transcription. Some people like to read it. I give it to them in lots of different forms. And if they're interested, they can opt in over here. They go to that landing page. Or they can get my Social Selling Magazine. So they can download the app here. So you don't require an opt-in, you're just really trying to engage people with good content. Same thing here. This is just a quote I put up. It's an excerpt from my book. And then it takes them to that page to opt in. Article I wrote about Twitter. This is on LinkedIn Pulse, so I'll drive people here. Get more people to view it. So I got 36 likes. And then down here, at the end, for more Twitter trips, then they can actually download a chapter of my Twitter book. So see, there's lots of ways to engage people. Doesn't all have to be on your website. But the ultimate goal is to get them to a web form so they can enter their name and email and get on my email list, and then I follow up with them. Is that clear? Don't just drive people to your website. You can drive people to Facebook pages, your Facebook group pages, anywhere you have good content. And I use the same content in a lot of different places. And people will see it. I have an audience on LinkedIn, I have an audience on Twitter, a different audience on, on Facebook. So just keep engaging people in different forms of same content in different forms. Like this. Sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's an article, sometimes it's a podcast. And just consistently keep in front of these people over and over, and they keep thinking, oh, I keep seeing Steve everywhere all over the internet. He's all over the place. He must really know what he's doing. So it just adds to your credibility. So really, ClickFunnels, that's my current favorite. Aweber, I use that for years. It's very simple to use. There's MailChimp. I've never used MailChimp, but everybody says it's very friendly. Very easy to use. And all the technical people say it gives good email delivery rates, which is, it's getting harder and harder to get email delivered, but it's still the best way to communicate with people. As you think about, Facebook, things scroll by so fast. LinkedIn, just look here. The news feed scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, so you may miss content. So don't be afraid to reschedule it. I schedule it in Sendable to go out about once a month, once every 6 weeks. I recycle the content. And as I add new content to the queue, that keeps growing, so it spreads it out. So it'll be every 2 to 3 months eventually. So just lots of ways to grab people's attention, but it's just about setting up that process and having your end goal is, like Steve and I, we have the same thing. We want to get people on our email list and get people on the phone for consultations so they become clients. Do you have any questions on that? Terry says, do you have a done for you program that includes what you're showing us? Oh yeah, definitely, because this stuff, it can be complicated, and once it's set up, it works really well. So yeah, I definitely, if you want to reach out, Terry, definitely, we do that kind of work. Because I do this all day long, every day, and it's like sometimes it's just like, oh my God, they changed something, you got to learn it again. Fortunately, I like doing that stuff. I know Steve does too. We're kind of we love to play with the technology and drive people to it. But no, this stuff, it really works really, really well, and it's become so much easier because years ago when I started doing this, WordPress wasn't even out, so we had to do this in HTML and code these, and the opt-in forms were a lot harder to integrate in the shopping carts. And this is something I'm adding to the LinkedIn class this year. A whole week we're going to spend on building these landing pages with people, setting it up, getting it up and running. And on the Q&A calls, we'll do hands-on with everybody. We'll help write the copy for your landing pages here. What are the points, your most important points? Why should people download this? We just kind of fill in the blanks here. So we'll be doing that as an add-on this year. Landing pages, and then writing those messages, all those follow-up messages, and then LinkedIn messages. I've got 411 unread here. But this is really, it works so well in LinkedIn to reach out to people in a non-salesy way because they're being sold so much. So here, these are people, messages I've sent. So you send messages, start conversations, and then people come back and say, here's a sales message. But it's starting those conversations and those little birthday messages, and that's the things I'm teaching in the class now, and we're going to actually write them for people on the calls, the weekly calls, because people struggle with that. It's now also new to them, and we sent thousands of messages. I send hundreds of messages a week, even just thank you messages and thanks for connecting and happy birthday and congratulations, and it starts little conversations, which gets people over to my email list once they get to my website, which builds those relationships. So if anyone's interested too, I'm going to be doing a $1 free trial for the LinkedIn class. And the first call, the kickoff call, is next Friday. So if you're interested, you can go to linkedaccelerator.com trial. You get 14 days free. And then if you still want to keep going, you can do that. So there's a trial offer. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you join us. And this is the stuff we'll be digging into. I know Steve likes to do this stuff. Thanks, Natasha. Says, my persistence in staying on the cutting edge is greatly appreciated. It is. This stuff's changing so fast. When I log into LinkedIn Monday morning, something will be different. And that's the kind of stuff we kind of figure out. I do videos on it, show you what's different, how to use it. See, they keep changing things. They've added LinkedIn Learning now. I don't know if you've known that. That's lynda.com. So many things, but ultimately, I want to get people to one of these landing pages, onto my email list, and become customers. And I'm sure that's what your goal is too. So, anybody have any questions? Yeah, Steve says, keeps it interesting, that's for sure. And this is supposed to be easier than it used to be. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think that's it. We're coming up to the top of the hour here, but yeah, definitely get started. If you need help, just reach out to me or do the free trial. We're doing the first kickoff call next Friday, and then we'll have videos that you can watch on your own each week for the LinkedIn and building landing pages and writing messages and building a funnel like this. And then we have a weekly call where you can call in and get questions where we'll pull up your website or your landing page, write the copy with you, and coach you right through setting all this up. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. It's linkedaccelerator.com/trial if you're interested in joining the free trial. Thanks, everybody.